Hello there. Welcome to Jedi Academy. I am Ben Kenobi. With me is always a Jedi Master Tuck. How are you
Welcome,
doing
everybody.
today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. I'm looking forward to talk about this movie today.
Yes,
So why
absolutely.
don't we get into it? Last
Sure.
time we talked Attack of the Clones. Today we're talking Revenge of the Sith. What are your feelings about this movie overall?
This is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. It really is. Star Wars stories. There's so much in this movie that George had to, really fit in this movie. So it's all there. I mean, sometimes it's a bad thing, but a lot of times it's a good thing. But overall, yeah, I love this movie, man. It opens with a great battle. It ends with a great battle. I mean, and
Yeah,
as much as we hate that no at the end, that scene is still cool to see Vader for the first time. You know what I mean? See him as Vader for the first time.
I have to say, or am I talking honestly that no, that never bothered me. Like I don't care about it. Like okay, it's there. Why
Yeah.
did everyone hate on it? I don't understand
I
why
think
they
just because at that time everybody just felt like Anakin was just a whiny little kid. So, that kind of just felt more like that along those lines than, the Vader we expect, I guess.
I guess that's fair.
But he's not Vader yet. I mean, he is, but he's not. He's not the Vader we know in A New Hope
Right.
or anything like that.
What did you think about the relationship of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we get, because there's that line of, you know, from I guess it's A New Hope when he's talking about how they were, how they were so close and they were brothers. But you don't really see that in the prequels as much. But this movie you do is where you get it. It's where you get it. You see the back and forth with them, with before he goes into the Senate after the first battle. He's like, no, this is your day. You get the glory today, and you see that the love and the just the affection they have for each other. You know.
That opening fight, that space battle, when
Hmm.
they go to rescue Palpatine,
Yeah.
that was so fun to watch. You really saw them working as a team back and
Yeah.
forth together,
Yeah.
and you see Anakin would not leave Obi-Wan there to die.
No. No.
Which is really interesting considering at the end of the movie, the Obi-Wan does leave Anakin there to die.
Yes. Yes.
I,
Very good. Yes.
and I didn't realize that. Like,
Right.
wow.
Well, isn't that wasn't it originally? No, that was episode 9. It was originally supposed to be
Well,
called Duel of the Fates.
yeah.
Yeah, I got that mixed up for a second. No, but yeah, it's I mean, George Lucas always talks about how Star Wars rhymes. How there's always things that happen over and over again. So I mean, yeah, or dichotomies like that. Where it's nice to see. It's good storytelling when it's subtle like that.
Right.
Now if the whole movie was them doing things like that, then it would be just too over the top. But because it's the very beginning, the very end, and it fits the story well, I think.
What did you think? And this is also, I think that, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay,
Isn't it the first time you see Kashyyyk and all the rookies?
that's the first time I think so. Yeah.
What did
Okay.
you think
Well, did
of
we see? I
seeing?
mean, I guess unless if you don't count video games or anything, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, right.
I'm
Yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
movies.
Right, right, right.
What did you think of seeing Kashyyyk?
I like Kashyyyk. I like the aesthetic of Kashyyyk. I think that fits. I think it fits perfectly for the Wookiees. A huge, trees and places they can kind of run around and jump around and stuff. I think that makes sense for Wookiees. Totally.
Now, What do you agree with everyone when they say Chewbacca didn't need to be there?
Um, I don't mind it because it's only for a few scenes. I mean, it's only what 2 or 3 scenes at the most. I mean, they're
Yeah.
short scenes. They're not. It's not like he's there saying anything. I don't. Yeah, I don't really think it's an issue to me.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I don't.
What?
I mean, I guess I can see the criticism, but I just don't. It doesn't.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, we
not
know
as bad.
he's been around that long anyway. I mean, it's like Yoda. It's like going back to the the what is it now? The New Republic they have, or the and saying Yoda isn't there. Well, yeah, he would be there. It's only 300 years ago. He's 900 years old.
Right.
It doesn't make
I
sense.
think it's not as bad, and I'm going to show my hand here a little. As in C-3PO and R2-D2 in Rogue One. They didn't need to be in that movie, in my opinion.
Sure. No, I would agree with that. Yeah. Again, it's one of those things. It's cool to see him. I think that was more of they've been in every single movie to that point. We have to get them in there somewhere. I think
Right.
that's what that was.
What did you think of Anakin and Padme's relationship in this movie?
Now, see, this is where it doesn't bother me as much as it does in episode 2. It's not as bad because you sort of see where he's coming from in this movie. She tells him that she's pregnant, and then he starts having these dreams, and he's already had these dreams before, and so he knows they can possibly come true, and that's when he kind of loses it. And then that whole scene with Palpatine, when Darth Plagueis, and they're at the show, and he's telling him all that. That's when it's just he has no choice. He has to go with He has to go with Plagueis at that, or Sidious at that point.
I'll be honest, my favorite relationship in this movie is Anakin and Palpatine throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The way he manipulated Anakin was
Well, just
incredible.
that scene when he turns on, when he when he's figuring out that he's actually Sidious, and he pulls his saber out. You can see the pain in his face.
Right.
He's hurt that this is him. That he doesn't know what to do. He's conflicted. He is truly conflicted at that moment.
I never got the criticism that it was rushed. I mean, I always felt like he's been turning all movie, if not even in Attack of the Clones too. Palpatine has been working him since Attack of the Clones, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
you didn't see the ending in that scene in the Palpatine's office. But that's just me. What do you feel about it? Did you feel rushed or not rushed at all?
Oh no, I don't think it was rushed. I mean, again, the story he decided to tell, it makes sense. I don't think it was rushed in the story he was telling because by the time they get to that point, I mean, like I said, Anakin is he's made his decision, but he hasn't. He can still be brought back, I think. I think there's still a chance he can be brought back before the whole Mace, Windu. When he walks in on Windu, that's when I think the actual change happens in him because he walks in and everything Palpatine has been telling him is true, but everything the Jedi has been saying is true. But he already mistrusts the Jedi at this point because they've asked him to spy on Palpatine. They've made him a part of the council, but not a master. I mean, there's a lot of betrayal from the Jedi in his eyes, from his point of view. So I think at that point he's like, yeah, he's a Sith master, but at this point he hasn't lied to me about anything. He hasn't betrayed me really in any way.
Not yet, anyway.
Right. Well, right. Of course.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying from his point of view.
Right. The Mace and Palpatine get into a fight. Palpatine killed, knocked him out the window. He's gone. Now let me
And
ask
Kit
you this.
Fisto, man. Poor Kit Fisto, man.
Yeah, okay. Do
And
you
Plo
think
Koon.
Mace? Do you think Mace is really dead, or do you see him coming back anytime?
I thought for a long time that they wouldn't bring him back, but I feel like the way these rumors are spewing around, there has to be some talks about it somewhere. This has to be coming from somewhere because it is very hot. If you if you're I watch a lot of Star Wars videos and explain videos and all that stuff, and the rumors are out there. There's a lot of them, and I mean George Lucas has said things like I don't think there's a or he said I think he said there's a chance he could be alive, and there's just a lot. There's a lot that you can pick from with that. So I don't know. I think because it is such a big thing, like Luke coming back, it's going to happen eventually, just because fans want to see it. I mean, who
When
doesn't want to
you,
see Boba Fett and Mace Windu square off one last time in the season 2 of Boba Fett? How would that not be
ooh,
one of the best
ooh,
endings ever to see? Like, let's say they said this is the last season and the final battle is Boba Fett getting revenge for Jango Fett on Mace Windu or something. Whatever the outcome is, maybe they both die. Maybe they
if
both die
I'm being
together.
honest, I'd rather that happen inside of Mandalorian season 3, like just like how Mando had an episode in
Yeah,
Boba, give Boba an episode in Mando. Because,
there you
to
go.
be honest, I don't need a Boba Fett season 2. I don't know
Fair
about
enough.
you. I like that season, but it ended for
No, it
me.
doesn't get a season 2. No, I agree with you. I'm just saying if they decided to do it, I could see that
Yeah.
being like the storyline. But yeah, no, I would agree with that. I don't necessarily want to see a season 2. And as I've said
I
many
mean,
times, he's my favorite character, but eh.
what would you even have him do?
Right.
What would you?
Yeah.
And now there's talk about. I don't know if we talked about this. I
It would
don't
just have to
remember
fix the
that.
problems of the first one, basically.
Right. And now there's talk that there might be an Obi-Wan season 2. Have you heard
I
that?
heard that. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, man, anything that makes money or that people are excited for, trust me, George or Lucasfilm's going to do it. Kathleen Kennedy is going to make that money, man, and so is Feige and all them. Or not Feige, head
Purple.
of Disney.
Yeah, Filoni.
Yeah.
You, I guess we
So
really can't say because we don't know the story. But right now, if they announce we're doing an Obi-Wan season 2, would you be happy?
it depends because there's 9 years. There's 9 years from where this season starts to where Luke and all that other stuff happens. So if they did 2 or 3, 4 seasons and only covered 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe. I mean, maybe we see why he's so much older 9 years later when he looks so much younger. Just 9 years before. I mean, he ages pretty good in 10 years.
Not only him, Maria and Owen do too. Don't
Yeah,
forget that.
right, right, right.
And, and that son, and the number of sons, man.
But again, I
Uh,
don't. I think as long as the show is good, that's going to be such a minor complaint that I don't. It's not going to
yeah,
matter at the
I'm
end of the
sorry.
day. You know.
I'm just going to say, as the years get closer to
Mhm.
episode 4, it becomes more and more tricky to stay in the canon if you don't know if
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, because there are canon. I mean, there are stories that are canon of him doing things during that time, but it's very minimal. It's very minimal because he doesn't like to leave Tatooine.
And the minimal stories, they're not really cinematic
Right.
for TV,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What I do
Because
know
well, here's
is,
here's an interesting thing too. Here's an interesting thing too. I just rewatched this episode a few days ago. the Satine episode with him,
Okay.
and she's not dead, right? Satine did. No, Satine did die. Yes, she did. I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, she does die, and yeah, okay. Because I was thinking, could they somehow do that since he's the Jedi Academy's over? But I forgot. She's
Yeah.
Sabine's older sister, so she or not Sabine's, Bo-Katan's,
Right.
and that's how. Yeah, darn it. I was gonna say maybe they could do something cool like that, but
I forget what they said. Oh, they said, wait, no, never mind. I'm going to ask. It is going to be in the same time as the Mandalorian, but no, it's waiting
yeah.
for the Mandalorian.
Now, actually, talking about that episode and talking about Obi-Wan, isn't that sort of a hypocrisy that he has, because he sort of is really hard on Anakin about being with Padme, but he
Yeah,
has had this secret love for Satine and with Satine for a while. Now they never did anything more, consummated or anything, but he does love her. And he said, "I would have left the Jedi Academy if you say the word. I would have left." He tells her
yeah,
that. So how is it any different, really?
I don't know.
I'm
But,
just thinking about it
okay,
because he really gives Anakin a lot of crap about it. He's like, "Hey man, you messed up," and he's like, "Wait a minute."
well, so that talk about the fight and the death of Padme and the birth of
Oh
Vader.
my goodness, yes, yes.
What did you think of that fight?
Okay, so she gets off the ship and she's trying to talk to him, but when he sees Obi-Wan, man, that his you see the anger just fill up inside of him. I mean, he is at that point he is the most Vader he can be at that moment. And it takes a lot for Obi-Wan to get to handle him in that fight. Obi-Wan is not the upper hand in most of that fight. If you really rewatch it, man, he is not in the upper hand. Anakin has him pretty much till that end part, almost. There are a few times Obi-Wan gets, some good shots in, and but overall, Anakin is overpowering Obi-Wan. He really is.
So, do you think once Anakin gets a higher ground, do you think Obi-Wan has a upper hand at that point?
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah. He has to have. I mean, I love the memes and everything about it, but it is true. I mean, the high ground gives him that advantage that when he tries to go over top of him, he sees it coming.
Yeah,
You have time to react, or he had time to react.
right.
So I think that definitely was the biggest factor in that fight at the end. There was that, because if Anakin just walks up that hill, I don't know if Obi-Wan can keep him back at that
No,
moment, because he's so flowing with anger. You can see it in his eye. I mean, his eyes are yellow. I mean, he is full of the dark side at that point.
he is pure Sith at that point.
Yeah, at that
Talking
moment,
about pure
yes.
Sith, talking about pure Sith,
Mm.
we should talk about the other fight that was going on at the same time between Palpatine and Yoda. What
Yes.
did you think about that?
Now, this is one of my favorite lightsaber battles of all time, or just battles, I guess I would say, because there is a lot of force in it, not as much lightsaber fight. But anytime you see Yoda flipping around with a lightsaber, man, I'm all in. I love it. I love it
Me
because
too.
I just remember as a kid thinking, like, how does he fight? How would he fight like or a Obi Wan or a Vader at that time, or even a Luke, you know? And when we see it with Dooku, and then we see it again here, man, he is just exactly what you would expect, and so awesome to watch. I love it. I love it because that's what you think of when you see a Jedi. I mean, they allude to it in the movies, and in all of the movies, they allude to how they're very fast, they can jump high, they can do all these things. But when they're actually in battle, we don't see that, except for
No,
Darth Maul. I would say Darth Maul is the closest we get to what I think of when I think of these force using, lightsaber wielding space wizards, just jumping around. Know exactly what they're doing at every single moment because they know where the blade of the saber is, so they can do some of the most amazing things. Because if you read some of the books and comics and stuff, when they describe lightsaber battles, they say it's a blur of light. You just see red and green, or purple and red, or what. They don't. You don't actually see the people fighting. I want to see that once. I want to see that once on
I mean,
in live action.
when you really sit down and think about it, they have superpowers.
Yeah,
They're like superheroes. They're
yeah.
powered.
And I don't want them to go extreme either. I don't want them to be, invincible, because they're not
Right.
invincible. But I want them to just show a little more of what they can really do. What they're
I
really
wonder
capable
if
of.
we'll ever get that. Maybe in a TV show or something.
I don't know how I don't know how you would do it cinematically though. That's the only thing. As much as I want to see it, I don't know how you could do it unless you did, some type of bullet time or slow motion time where you kind of zoom in and zoom out of it, and show it in slow motion and then back out and show it in real time, kind of. I don't know. That would be the only thing. I don't know. Unfortunately, that's why I'm here and not making movies, because I would love to do that. I would love to.
Exactly, me too, man. Me too. So, we should talk about this. Padme
Okay.
is dying, apparently because she lost the will to live,
Yeah.
whatever. And
I
you
don't like that.
see,
Yeah.
is wonderful. It's fine. I'm
I
not
think it. I
using
think
that.
it would have made more sense if he did accidentally kill her.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Not on purpose, but obviously just in that moment of rage, he just that was it, or at least didn't kill her, but to the point where it was save the babies and only the babies, not her, kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And when we see her dying, and at the same time we see Vader being built, what do you think about these two scenes happening at the same time? What's your feeling about them?
What, beating Vader for the first time, and
No,
then
seeing him being built. Seeing
Bail,
like, what?
the build.
Yeah, the build. What do you think about seeing like the helmet come on,
Hmm.
him getting his legs? What do you think about all that?
Oh man, I loved it. I still love it. Just that that first breath he takes when the mask comes down. And that's Star Wars, man. I mean, that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to see in Star Wars. But yeah, absolutely, I love that scene. I love it. Except, again, it's weird because when you see the extended versions of these scenes or hear about the extended versions of these scenes, you wonder why they didn't do it. You wonder why at that time they didn't just do it.
What really extended version of the scene?
Well, I think it's in the comics where right after does the no and all that, and then Palpatine says, you accidentally killed her, and he was like, she was alive, and he starts to go after Palpatine. He starts to attack Palpatine, and Palpatine starts force lightning him and puts him down on his knees, and he's like, don't you ever do that again. He's like, don't you ever, ever, ever raise your hand to me. And he puts
Ooh,
him
I
down like he
wanna.
puts Vader down like a dog. Yes, that's canon. That is absolutely canon. He puts Vader down to
Damn,
his knees and said, "Yeah." So I said, I want to see that because Palpatine. That's the beginning of the manipulation of Palpatine. He manipulated him by being nice to him earlier, but
right.
once he puts that suit on, he is evil. He is like a evil dog owner to Vader. He really is. I mean, he dogs him every chance he gets. He tells him all the time, "I'm going to replace you. I can't wait to find your replacement." I mean, he is.
So, would you call him the Vader? Would you call him the Vader, basically?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it. I like it. But yeah, I mean, he is really an ass after that to Vader. I mean, he specifically made that suit for Vader so he could force lightning him anytime he wanted and put him in his place. Because when he force lightnings him in that suit turns off and he can't breathe.
Well, I didn't know that. And I,
Yes, yes. Palpatine designed that suit to weaken Vader. to actually weaken him so he can continue to control him. Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
canon, man. Look, yeah, you gotta look up the comics, man, and the books. There's some interesting stuff, interesting
what,
things in there.
what happens? They short circuit and turn off
Yeah,
temporarily?
yeah,
Oh,
basically because it's all mechanical, it's all electrical. So when he shocks him, it shuts everything down, and he can't breathe, and he can't live without the suit. He cannot live without the suit. I mean, he can for a certain amount of time, but he can't live without the suit forever. And he actually has
dang.
a chance to make a new suit at one point, and he decides not to. I can't
I
remember what
wonder
his reason
why.
was now. Yeah, I can't remember what his reason was now. But when he goes to make his crystal red, he kills a Jedi and takes their crystal, and he goes to make it red, and he has a vision of him going back and killing Palpatine and saying, "I'm not doing this." And then he
I
comes
did
out of
read,
that.
I did read that comic. That was a
Yeah,
good comic of him
yeah.
getting the lightsaber.
Did you ever see the one of him training Luke on Mustafar, where he trains Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke goes. He gives in to. It's a what if kind of comic, but he
Oh,
gives in
okay.
to Vader at the end of Episode 6, and he says, "I'll join you." And he lets Vader train him, but then at night he hides in this cave and like channels the light side of the Force so he can stay in the light. But he lets Vader train him in the dark side during the day so he can become more powerful than him, and so he can kill the Emperor. There's some
Dang.
cool stories out there, man. There's some really cool. I love that kind of stuff, like the what ifs and the deep canon. It's all fun to
That,
learn about.
Marvel is doing these what if animated show. I would love a Star Wars what if animated
More than
show.
anything, more than anything. I want. I'll tell you what. Did you watch Visions?
No, I wanted to. How is that?
It's hit or miss. The episodes they're kind of one-off episodes. Each one is kind of a different story. But I like the first one a lot. It's like a samurai type
Ooh,
feel. It's
nice.
very cool. I would love to see just a limited what if series of just that world because it's like almost like feudal ancient Japan meets Star Wars with lightsabers.
Well,
It's cool.
wasn't it an anime? Wasn't
It's
it?
anime,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's black and white, and there's the lightsabers are in color, and a couple other little things are in color, but everything is black and white, and it's one of the coolest looking things ever. It really is.
Yeah, I have to watch that. That sounds
Yeah,
really good.
like I said, you might not like all the episodes, but there's I would say 4 or 5 really good ones in there.
Right. That gives me something to do.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, there's one character I want to bring up. What did
Okay.
you think of General Grievous in the movie?
I like Grievous, but he's watered down. He's so watered down in these movies. They kind of make him a bumbling fool instead of he's supposed to be this ancient warrior man that's killed everybody and all these Jedi, and he runs into Anakin and Obi-Wan and he just can't kill him. It doesn't make sense to me sometimes, but I like the character overall. I think it was a good character to introduce into Star Wars because we finally get to see. I think that was the first time we really saw like a bad droid, right? Or I mean, he's
Yeah,
part human. He's mostly droid, but part human. He still has human parts.
I
But
mean, in the timeline, yeah, I think you're right. I think that was a pretty mad story.
and that's I guess first time we saw like a real like human cybernetic
Like,
being in Star Wars, kind of like that.
well, we saw Vader first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Fair enough. Right. Right. Right.
I
But
mean,
we don't really know that from the original trilogy. We get that in the prequels more than anything. I don't
well,
really know if I knew that he was. I kind of just thought he was a man in a suit that had a breathing thing as a kid watching him. I don't really remember knowing that he was a machine, like under the
okay,
arms and the legs and all that.
okay.
You know what I
I
mean?
think what you
Again,
mean.
he
Yeah.
was. It's not that he was. He what? You're right. I don't know if that was common sort of knowledge at that time. until the prequels, and you show him losing his arms and legs and all
Right.
that. Because I didn't see
And
that coming. Do you remember watching it for the first time and knowing that that was going to happen, or because I don't
I don't
remember
remember. I
knowing
don't
that. I remember
remember.
being like, "Oh my goodness, he just he just lost his arms and legs. What's he going to do now?"
I don't remember.
That's that goes back to why that rebuilding scene is so cool because you get to see it. You get to see them strapping the legs on and the arms on and all that.
I
So
love seeing the helmet come towards him with the red
yes,
eyes.
oh, it's one of the best.
That was so incredible.
Yeah, that and like I said, that when it first closes and you hear that suction and then that first breath, man, I was ecstatic, like screaming at it. Yes, yes. That's just one of those moments.
Do you think you'll get hated without the mask on in
Yeah,
Obi-Wan?
I think so. Why bring them back? Only for flashbacks? I don't know. I
Oh,
just don't see
you,
why you wouldn't. I don't maybe a few seconds or a minute, a small conversation where he takes the helmet off and just says, I'm not him anymore, or something, whatever he says, and then puts it back on, and then they fight. Because I don't think there's going to be a lot of dialogue between them. I really don't. I think it's going to be a lot of fighting and talking while they're
eh,
fighting. I think there's going to be talking while they're. I don't think it's going to be a lot of them just standing there talking to each other. They Vader hates him at this point. I mean, he hates nobody more than Obi-Wan at this point. He's not just going to stand there and talk to him. He's going to attack first.
are we, are we going to get an Obi-Wan moment where he's like, oh shit, Vader's alive? Are we going to see that, do you think?
I think so because I don't know if he knows if he's alive at that. Again, I think he thinks he left him there and he didn't survive.
But you played Devil's Advocate. It has been 10 years
Yeah.
since Revenge of the Sith.
But then again,
So
Obi
wouldn't
Wan's
it,
very smart. It would be weird for him not to know that uh, he left his apprentice Anakin on a planet, and then the next day Darth Vader shows up. It would be weird if he didn't put those two together by that point.
we might get a moment in a flashback, maybe. Maybe
There you go.
he, uh, that I would like to see, like in a flashback where Obi,
Or could we get an Ahsoka Obi Wan flashback where they meet up at some point and she says because she has a fight with Vader in Rebels. Ahsoka fights Vader in Rebels.
but isn't she gone at this point, or where is she at this point?
At this point, she's out there on the run, just like everybody else. But I don't. Oh, that's the only thing. When does Rebels see? Rebels is before Rogue One, I believe, or during Rogue One, or around the same time. So
Right.
it's after. Yeah. See, that's the problem. The timeline is so weird because I don't. That's when she finds out that Anakin is Vader.
Right.
Is in Rebels. See, that's the thing. I'm
Right.
not. I'm trying. I'm trying. The timeline gets so confusing sometimes in my head.
I know.
I'm trying to remember where everybody's at this point.
Right.
Yeah, she's just. I think at this point, I don't know where she's at. She's on the run somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Not with Ezra yet, right?
Not yet. No. No.
No.
Definitely not with
Okay.
Ezra yet. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah. It doesn't. The timeline doesn't play out
Timeline. That's what. Well,
because that would be a good scene where she says, "Look, I faced him. He's not Anakin anymore. you know, he's not
yeah,
Anakin.
but I know. I
Don't do
know.
this."
I think we'll get that. We might see something like that in her show, in a
No.
flashback, maybe.
Sure. 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 No, that's possible. I'm excited for that show for sure. Ahsoka is going to be a good show, I think, too.
Yeah. I'm the more all of these shows coming out, I'm really excited for, and I can't wait for all of them.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I'm excited for everything. Anything Star Wars, I want to watch it. So
Yep, me
if they
too.
give me a like I told you, a Bib Fortuna prequel to Boba Fett, I'll watch it. I'll I'll find a way to
Oh,
like
that
something
would
in
be
it.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? That would
When
be
you
cool.
watch a sequel movie with Jar Jar in it.
Cool. It would be painful, but
Um,
yes, I would watch it. Just because there would be enough other stuff in it, I hope to keep me interested, where I can kind of tune him out. I don't mind Jar Jar as
man.
much though. It's just my only problem with Jar Jar is now, I guess, is that he's just so over the top. Like he's so cartoony, and I get it. The movies are made to be like that, but he's too far. He just is too far. That's my only real problem with him. I don't everything he does. It's just so over the top. It's very goofy in a movie that's already kind of goofy, but not that goofy. Do you know what I mean?
No,
He just
no,
doesn't fit the
I know what you
goofiness, I
mean.
guess. Yeah, he
I
doesn't
know
fit
what you
it to
mean.
me. Yeah. So that's really my only thing with it. It just doesn't fit. It's not even that I hate the character or anything. It just doesn't fit to me.
Maybe under different director, they can find a better
Yeah.
balance.
Well, and that's what the originals, were. I think that's why they were so great. Is George Lucas directed the first one, but after that, he didn't direct those last two.
Yeah.
He didn't direct the last two. He wrote them, but he didn't direct them.
Although I think he had more control over Return of the Jedi than he did
Yes.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. And which is why Empire Strikes Back is still considered the pinnacle of Star Wars. And it's nothing
It,
against George. See, that's the thing. He takes everything personally. And it's not that we hate him. We just want good versions of what he wants to give us.
right.
You know?
Is Empire your favorite movie?
Yeah.
Out of all
Oh
of
yeah.
them?
Yeah, definitely. I love that movie. I mean, there's nothing not to love in that movie. I think that is the perfect Star Wars story, even though it was an accident, even though it was a complete accident. Just
Yeah.
Luke, Luke being his son or Vader being his father, that just kind of happened instead of, I love. I think that's a great twist at the end and all of that. And the whole
That's
Leia
all.
and Luke thing is great. I mean, just that they find out that they're brother and sister, and they have to figure that out after all that they were trying to set up the love story with them.
Yeah.
It's
You
so
know,
weird
I know.
because those three movies had no plan at all. George was, I mean, he had a plan, but he basically was winging it, and it worked. So weirdly, it worked.
Here's the difference, though. He was a creator. So he knew, he had an overall plan. That I
Right?
know. I don't know how much details he had, but I
Sure.
have to think he had an overall plan.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, yeah.
There was no
But like a,
overall
but like
plan.
a, any, but like any great storyteller, he changed things that needed to be changed to make the story make sense.
The 789 didn't have a plan.
Yeah, right. And you
And
can
that's
tell.
the difference.
And yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Ah, yeah,
But I love it.
she said, I'm sorry?
I said, but I love it. I still love
Yeah.
it.
There's one piece of news we should talk about.
Sure.
Christopher Lloyd is going to be in Mandalorian Season 3. What do you think about this?
I love it. Obviously, I mean, of course, I love Christopher Lloyd, Back to the Future, all that. I love him and everything he's in. Um, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Who is he going to play? What type of character is he going to play? Because he could be goofy, he could be serious. So
I,
he can.
yeah, I'm excited to see him in it.
Oh,
Because
absolutely, yeah.
Back to the Future is my number one favorite movie. And, okay, I want to be very careful here. Star Wars is my favorite overall franchise, but my favorite trilogy is a Back to the Future trilogy.
Awesome. Yeah, I love those movies. I absolutely, I love those movies. So for sure, yeah. No,
Yeah.
anything he's in, man, I'll definitely be interested in seeing it. So every time he pops up in something, I'm like, man, I love him. He's just so fun to watch. He's such an he seems like such a cool guy. You know, just he loves to have fun, and it just shows on the screen.
The question is he going to be a good guy or a bad guy?
I would like to see them do that twist. That would be cool if they made him like a hardened old imperial officer, kind of like Moff Gideon.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I like
that would be
that. I
cool.
like that.
That would be cool because he can play a tough guy. He really can. I've seen him in movies where he's played straight. He's very good. So
Yeah,
I would
I'm
like to see
looking
that.
forward. That, no, that comes out this year, right? God knows season 3?
I believe they said end of the year. I would assume
Okay.
end of the year or right very beginning of next year. You know,
God, we have a
maybe
lot of stuff.
kind of like I guess maybe like Boba Fett. Was it Boba Fett right at it was like the last couple of days of the year, right? 31st or 30th it came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Something like
I
that. So
mean, like,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean that
Hopefully it
would
will
make
be better
sense.
than. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry?
I would say that would make sense.
Yeah. Hopefully it will be better than yeah, better than Boba Fett.
I hope so, yes, because
Yeah.
well, and I don't think this will let down. I mean, the first two seasons were amazing. I mean, if they really missed the ball on this season, I mean, that would be a tragedy because this is a great
Yeah.
show. Mandalorian is a great show. I mean, I've even tried to tell my mom and other people that aren't Star Wars fans. I'm like, just watch it, just check it out. It's actually a really good show if you just without the Star Wars stuff.
Here's something you have to do. You have to tell them about Baby Yoda. That will
Yeah,
get them.
yeah.
That will get
I think
them.
that gets most people. Yeah. Dude, I mean, who?
Okay.
How cool was that? How cool was that? When you see
He's
that
so
finger
cute.
come up at the very
Oh,
end of that
he's so
episode,
cute.
I mean, come on.
And in the second season, they gave him a little personality.
Yeah.
They gave him a little personality.
Oh, I love that little look when he learns his name and they're back on the ship for the first time together and they're leaving Ahsoka and he's like Grogu and he's like, "What?" He just gives him. I love that little look, man. It's so good.
I love the episode where they're on like they're on a planet with frog people
Yes.
and they brought them eggs and he's like, is
He's
that a
eating them all.
snack? Is that
He's
a
so great.
snack?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, he is
hungry.
great. No, that's what I said. That's such a well done show. It really is. I mean, even if you don't know a lot about Star Wars, I think you can watch that show and just, watch it like Lord of the Rings, just a fantasy show,
Yep.
and it plays. I think it plays. It's really good.
I think I read somewhere we might see. Yeah, I don't remember. Well, I think that would do it. So, not that much news, and we talked
Yeah.
about Revenge of the Sith. Is there anything you want to bring up real quick?
No, did you have any final thoughts about Revenge of the Sith? Anything you think of?
I love that movie. It is my top three of Star Wars movies.
And it's in my top five. Yeah. No, I love
Yeah,
it. I really do. And as much hate as the prequels get, there's a lot of good in them. So I think people should just kind of just give them a chance again. I think a lot of people haven't gone and revisited them as much as they should because if you can get past some of the silliness, there's a lot of good in them. There really
yep,
is for Star Wars fans.
agreed. Yeah, it's one great story. It's one great story. And we just keep seeing new chapters whenever something new comes out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's why I want so much Star Wars stuff because there's going to be bad. There's going to be bad stuff and things that don't hit. Like Boba Fett. That was my most anticipated show for the last year because I love Boba Fett, but it didn't hit. It just didn't. But when Ahsoka hits or Obi Wan hits, I'm going to completely forget about that and still love the fact that I have a Boba Fett show I can go and watch if I want. You know?
Exactly.
So that's why I want so much Star Wars content, because there's going to be good and bad, and there's going to be stuff that I like that you don't like, and vice versa. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, that's just the way it's supposed to be.
And you know what? We're going to be here every week to talk about that stuff.
Absolutely, you can't wait.
So, my man, where can everyone find you?
I am on Twitter and I am on Facebook, Jedi at Jedi Master Tuck, and just at Don Tucker.
And you can find me at Ben_Rainy. You can find me on this channel every Monday on TikTok, every Wednesday on Jedi Academy. You can find me on the also Northern Entertainment Group YouTube channel every Tuesday on Rewind That Tape, and every Sunday on the Northern Countdown. Again, please follow me on Twitter at men_Rainy, and we will see you next Wednesday on the next episode of Jedi Academy. But until then, may the force be with you and have a good one.
And may the Force be with you.